Hey guys, it's Brant, and I'm back with another The Panel Has Spoken video. And today we're going to be talking about creatures of the night, and we're going to be also touching on killers a little bit. But before we get into all that, I just wanted to say that Rick's not going to be with us today. He had a conflict in schedule, wasn't able to be here. So since we had a guest, we've got a panelist, Nina K, and she's got a pretty good interesting perspective on creatures, and we just wanted to kind of talk with her about creatures and get her input on it. And I'll let her tell a little bit about herself, because just from things that I know about her, it's going to be a very interesting episode, and we're going to talk about creatures and some other things as well. So we're going to miss Rick, but Rick wanted us to go on without him on this one. I will be telling Rick's scores as we go along. So, but yeah, Nina, so tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your KISS journey and a little bit about your thoughts about creatures and any other thing that you want to touch base on.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me on. My love affair with Kiss began in, I guess, late 78. I was 5. I had a babysitter. Apparently, she had a really wild party, and in the morning, I went down to our rec room basement to my box style Mickey Mouse record player, and Alive 2 was on it. And I listened to it, and I loved it. And it was kind of interesting because there were other things on the floor. This
Mm-hmm.
and this, which doesn't really make any sense, right?
Right.
So, anyway, I believe that those belonged together for a long time. But my parents were very supportive. I got a couple of Mego dolls for Christmas that year, as well as Gene's solo album. Um, but it's an interesting story because they must have been in some kind of mad rush to get out of there, um, leaving the records. And apparently they got into my parents' liquor cabinet and what have you. But I'm just thankful she never came back for it. Yeah.
And those are the actual records.
Yep.
That's
And
cool.
the one behind me is, it doesn't really play well anymore. But I believe that the Gene Simmons solo album for a little while was a masterpiece. But what do you know when you're that age, right?
Right.
So it took me until I guess The Elder came out, and I was in a record store, and there was a big cardboard cutout um, selling it, and I'm looking at it with this big door in the hand, and it doesn't look very rock and roll. And all of a sudden, the guy working there said, "Kiss sucks. That album sucks." And I felt really intimidated and kind of, well, I guess this isn't cool anymore. So I kind of stopped for a little while, and picked it up, of course, later. Um,
So how
yeah.
old were you when you actually got creatures?
Well, I went as soon as The Elder came out. I went back in their catalog, starting at the beginning, and I finally made it to Creatures. I guess it was 83 or so. um, when I noticed because I used to go to the grocery store with my mom, and I'd always check out the magazine racks, and I remember seeing a picture of Vinnie and Eric in the makeup.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought that Vinnie I didn't know anything about it. We just didn't know things back then. But I thought that Vinnie was some sort of relative of Ace's from Jendell. I don't know. I just thought maybe they're related or something. I don't know. It's funny how you think of things when you're a child.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So my friend's brother had it. I listened to it. I was very pleased, very pleased. It's always been one of my favorites, and it still is.
I remember when Creatures came out. Creatures was I bought it with my own money, and I remember that I saw the video for "I Love It Loud" before I actually owned the album, and I remember being blown away by. I saw the premiere of it, and I remember being blown away by the sound of the drums and me being a drummer. I love the sound of the drums on this album, and I love this album in its entirety. This was a very difficult album for me to rank top to bottom. And that was a general consensus of most of the people on the panel. This was a very difficult album for them to rate. But this album was the album where Kiss returned to metal. I was I was about 13 when this album came out, and I just remember falling in love with this album and learning to play this album from beginning to end. Having said that, I know that I touched on Vinny a little bit. You've talked about Vinny being on the album. Tell us a little bit more about who you are when it concerns Vinnie Vincent, and tell us a little bit more about some of the things that I know that my viewers might not know that you know about Vinnie Vincent and some of your experiences with Vinnie.
Oh, okay. Um, I went to the birthday bash last summer. Um, it's it seemed like a good idea. We stayed. Went with one of my girlfriends who's a country music lover. Um, we got cheap tickets. About a couple weeks before we left, the people in Vinny's assistant asked, can everybody write 7 questions for Vinny to answer? Okay. I really didn't know what we were doing, where we were going, but I knew that it was going to happen. So a lot of people believed it was in the same hotel as Rockin' Pod because it said Marriott Nashville, where there are 3 Marriotts in Nashville. Nobody figured that out. Okay, so I went to the Cool Springs Marriott, and we all met, and all of a sudden we didn't. Oh, Vinny's not going to be playing here. Oh, really? Well, this is getting interesting. So just wait around a little bit, he said, and I'll tell you where to go. So about 45 minutes went by, and we're all carpooling to SIR. We just got an address, and I just remember waiting in that hallway, hearing the guitar, the shredding, and leading us down into a room that was dark, and there's concert lighting, and he's just up there like it's 1986, playing the same way, if not better. And before we came in, let me say it real quick. His assistant asked everyone to put their phones in their pockets, and everyone was respectful. They really were. So a lot of people complain, oh, well, there's no video. Well, it's just the way it is. So anyway, so we're listening to this about 20 minutes, and then it's just like a party, like a wedding. And I remember pouring myself a glass of wine, and everyone's kind of mingling. Vinny had stopped, and he's talking to everybody. And then all of a sudden, he gets on the microphone and says, "I'm looking for Nina." And I'm just thinking, oh, geez, I guess there's another Nina here. Oh, wait, no, he's talking about me. So I went up and he said, I really liked your questions. Will you sit with me and do the Q&A? Yes,
That's
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, so that was a surprise. The whole thing was a surprise because I didn't know, so many times we know exactly what's going on. Technology, makes everything at an instant. But this was really a cool experience because I didn't know what was going on. But it was just an awesome day, awesome memory. And like I said, I got to ask some pretty deep questions. And it was awesome. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're like a moderator or somebody on one of Vinny's
Yes.
sites,
Uh,
and
Vince
you're
Legion.
you're in touch with his assistant quite a bit.
Yeah.
So how's Vinny doing? How's Vinny doing? And if you can talk about it, what's Vinny up to these days?
Oh, well, he just had a Valentine's Day event. I was not there. I did hear a funny story. While he was shredding, apparently um, he tripped the breaker somehow. I don't know, but it was a good time. Like I said, I wasn't there, so I can't tell you,
Hmm.
but I believe they did a fan jam with, they played some Led Zeppelin and just classics like that. And, the fans got to play instruments. Most of them are musicians. And it was a good time. Food, the same kind of deal as the other two before.
Yeah, and I think you told me off camera before we started that he doesn't really know Kiss songs all the way through anymore because he doesn't really practice them or play them very
Yeah.
often.
Well, that was
Yeah.
one of the things he said about especially the Miami thing. He said, I don't sit around and practice Kiss songs. I don't play them. I'm doing other things, musically.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you this before we get into talking about killers, and then before we talk about creatures, get into counting down the what the panel has voted on. I have a lot of admiration for Vinny, especially during. There's a lot of people that don't really care for him, but I can tell you this, and you can fight, and anybody watching this video can fight me on it if they choose to. But during this era, the Creatures and the Lick It Up era, Vinny was very integral to Kiss's continued renewal and growth and success due to his contributions on the Creatures album and definitely on the Lick It Up album. Creatures is most Kiss fans' first or second favorite makeup era album, and Lick It Up is a lot of Kiss fans' favorite non-makeup era album. And the common factor between those two albums is Eric Carr and Vinnie Vincent. Those two musicians took Kiss to a different level because whether you like it or not, I love Ace Frehley, and I've been known to drink the blue Kool-Aid, and I love Peter Criss. I love his sloppy, jazzy style of playing. But Vinny and Eric were hands down more technical musicians than Ace and Peter were. And so this was a great era for Kiss, and I am in that Vinny saved Kiss camp. I know a lot of people they hate hearing that, but I don't know what Kiss would have looked like had Vinny not come along. Would they even still be here had Vinny not come along? Had Eric not come along? We might not have the same Kiss. We might not have Kiss at all. And Kiss doesn't really give a lot of honor to this era, this last little bit of makeup era, and then moving into the non-makeup era of the 80s. They don't tip their hat to this era very much. Since we don't have Rick, this is going to be a little different. I'm going to it'll be me and Nina, and I'll be telling Rick scores on stuff. I'm not going to speak for Rick on his scores or why he scored them. I'm just going to say what he did score. But the first thing I want to do is I just want to tell about the panel really quick and how many members are on it and who they are. And then we're going to go through the Killers 4 tracks really quickly, and we're going to save our time for being able to discuss the Creatures tracks with a lot of detail. So to start the panel, we had 100 people on this panel. This is the first time we broke triple digits on a panel, and it seems fitting that it was for Creatures. So you have the hosts, me in my head, and Rick from It's All For You Demon, and Nina, the guest host. And then from Facebook, we have Joe Nail, Frederick Scalen, Ray Kelly, Mark Hilliard, Keith Nedu, Matthew Wesson, Matt Ucci, and Scotty Sky. From Instagram, Tony P1, Dylan Tucker, Anthony M. Hill 18, Skate Devil 74, Kiss Posters, The Clarences, and Bizbag 68. From Twitter, Haragal Susan, Where's Drago, Kimchi Chris, Tony Rod, Sam Loomis, Aladio, Jen Shimizu, Dave Cranston, Paul Teplius, Tom Dust, John Schaefer, Brian Balich, Eric Mosiu, Jack Skellington, Darren Helliwell, Steve, Bill Sharp, Vincent Marone, author, Andy, Nick from Pot of Thunder. We had Chris from Pot of Thunder last time. Now we've got Nick from Pot of Thunder this time. David King, Jeff Wyatt, Metal Dad, Julian Davies, John Gross, The Dude, Jose Colomo, Sean DeHaan, Jasmine, Knights of the Sun, and Ace Van Deuce. From YouTube, we have Luis Morales, AJ Zetro 1975, Emily Graziano, Trevor Bullock, Sonic Riccardi, John Howard, Mark Stewart, Snake Hips 3131, Demetrius K, That Toy Bunny Guy, Jay Reiner, Perpetual Art, Jeremy Kimono, Kissin' Time, who it used to be Kiss Crazy 80. He's changed his channel's name to Kissin' Time. Sandy Graziano, Matthew Smith, X Josh, Kiss Carolina Hard Rock Metalhead, John B. Good, Mick C. Horror and Pop Culture, Super Kiss 1200, Jesse Ray, Darklight, Tom S., Two Gay Dads, Guitar Man, Travis Mulgard, Greek Freak, Luis Maldonado, Ludwig Alvin, Jay Lee, Sublime 130, Orville Dunworth, Benoit Forget, Michael D., Indie Cult 777, Rick R., Brian Stacy, Gregory Pegg, John O., Aiden Pro Dalton, Joe Pegg, Steve Rivas, Paul Bortolino, Robbie Stars, Pence Fan 77, Jay Reed, Guillermine Chapstein, and Wam SB. So that is 100 of us. We start getting many more. I'm just going to start rolling them up the screen like Star Wars. That's a lot of people. So let's talk about Killers. This is a bonus that I had you guys could put in on if you wanted to put in on it. Nina, do you have any thoughts on the Killers album?
I never owned it. I did listen to it a few times back in the mid '80s, and I did not like it. So it was not a big deal to get it, and I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
Over the years, but it was interesting because I listened to it several times on Friday, and have different ideas about it. Yeah.
I remember seeing Killers in the import bins in a record store I used to go to in Charlotte, and Repo Records. And I don't even know if they're still in business anymore or not. If they are, shout out to Repo Records. But I remember seeing it in the import bins because it was an import originally. And I remember I hated the packaging. The pink and the purple and Killers written all weird, and Kiss with for the elder costumes with their short hair, and Paul with the bandana. And I've always thought the bandana was so stupid. I loved Ace's costume, the simple lightning bolt jumper that he had, and Eric's costume was kind of cool during that time. But I remember looking at the titles of the songs on the back, Partners in Crime, Down on Your Knees, I'm a Legend Tonight, and Nowhere to Run. And I was just like, meh. And imports back then were like $50, and I was like, I'm not dropping $50 on an album or a CD whenever I can drop $10, $15 and get a normal record. And but I did eventually get this album. Whenever I went to go review it was when I actually bought it, and I have to say that I wasn't impressed by the 4 new tracks. They sound like they should have been 80s montage songs, maybe a fight scene during the Karate Kid, or they just sounded so 80s and so dated. And thank God, Kiss sound changed by the time they got to Creatures. But I'm going to go ahead and tell my list. I do have Rick's list for Killers. I think I do. Let me see if I have Rick's list for Killers. I do. All right. So my list for Killers is, and then I'll do mine, I'll do Rick's, and then Nina, you can do yours, and then we'll say what the panel chose. My list, I chose for number 1, or let's start with number 4. For number 4 on my list, I chose Partners in Crime. Not a big fan of that song at all. The horns. Yeah. Nowhere to Run's my number 3, and I know that's a crowd favorite. That's actually from the Elder sessions, and some people say it should have been on the Elder. It should have been on Creatures. I'm a Legend Tonight is my number 2. And so that leaves the sleazy Down on Your Knees as my favorite of the 4 tracks. But even then, I'm not a huge fan of it. Rick chose for his number 4, he chose Down on Your Knees. Where there's me and Rick going again. My first is his last. Then for number 3, he chose Partners in Crime. For number 2, he chose I'm a Legend Tonight. And for number 1, he chose Nowhere to Run. So, what about your list, Nina, for killers?
Okay. I got Partners in Crime, and I wrote terrible. There's nothing more to say. Number 3, I got Down on Your Knees, which I remember actually liking that one back in the day, which I don't understand that because I don't like it at all now. And then I picked I'm a Legend Tonight, and it does kind of have a catchy riff, and a guitar solo is pretty good. That's the only reason why. And then number 1, Nowhere to Run, of course. I mean, there's actually I found a demo of that on YouTube, and my God, it sounds better than the one on Killers.
Yeah.
And Paul in his prime, he sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm giving it number 1.
Yeah, that's the demo.
It sounds like something off his solo. It sounds like something off his solo album, for sure.
That's the demo that they made. I think it should have been on The Elder. So let's talk about what the panel chose. The panel at number 4 with 135 points, the panel chose Partners in Crime. At number 3 with 143 points, the panel chose Down on Your Knees. At number 2 with 172 points, the panel chose I'm a Legend Tonight. And of course, that leaves for number 1 with 220 points, Nowhere to Run. Not everybody on the panel actually voted on Killers because some of them told me that they had never heard it, didn't care to hear it, so they didn't vote on it. So that takes us into Creatures of the Night, this album right here. And I just recently picked this album up on vinyl. This is brand new 2014, 180 gram. It's still sealed. And I just picked this up during my trip I had last week. And I have a video coming up you'll see the video coming out sometime after this one of me showing this and some other stuff that I picked up here that's off camera. And some viewers like you have sent me in 1, 2, 3 things, and I have picked up another memorabilia piece that I said it's part of my year where I'm going to rebuild some of my old collection. I have another piece picked up, so there'll be a video coming shortly after this one, me showing this stuff off. So there you go, a little preview of a video up to come. So we're going to start with number 9. So Nina, since you are the guest, I will let you tell me what song you predicted that the panel was going to choose for number 9. Your prediction.
I predicted the panel would choose Rock and Roll Hell.
Okay. All right. And I don't know Rick's predictions. I just know what songs he chose as his favorites. My prediction for number 9, I thought that the panel was going to choose Killer. And at number 9, what the panel actually chose at 324 points, the panel chose Keep Me Coming. No one picked it as a favorite, and I picked it as my number 6. And I picked it as my number 6 just simply because there's 5 songs I like better than this one. But I love Keep Me Coming. This is Kiss as Led Zeppelin.
Absolutely.
Paul is channeling his inner Robert Plant during this, and this is just the guitar riff in this is so Zeppelin, so Jimmy Page. The drumming is so John Bonham. It's an awesome song, and I couldn't score it any higher just because I like 5 songs better than it, but I love uh, I love Keep Me Coming. And I chose it 6 for me. So what about you, Nina?
Okay.
Where did you choose? Where did you choose? Keep Me Coming for you personally.
Keep Me Coming for me personally. I chose it 7. Um, it's okay, but yeah, I like other ones before it.
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
Step Robert Plant. You know,
Definitely.
definitely.
Trying to pull Rick's up on my phone here because I have his list on my phone. He sent it to me. Keep Me Coming. He chose 6, like me. He chose Keep Me Coming as his 6th favorite song. So at number 8, what song did you predict the panel was going to choose from number 8?
I got Keep Me Coming.
Okay.
We're all around the same spot, I guess.
Yeah. And I said Keep Me Coming as well. I thought I knew it wasn't really a favorite, uh, but yeah, I thought it was going to be 8 as well. What the panel actually chose at number 8 with 384 points is Killer. Uh, and 4 panelists: the Clarences, Trevor Bullock, Kissin' Time, Kiss, Carolina Hard Rock Metalhead, picked this as their favorite song. And I picked it as my least favorite, which just goes to show you that Kiss makes songs for everybody. It's just a song that I've just not really, it feels like fluff to me. And compared to Gene's other songs on this album, this is, this is definitely his weakest of his other songs on the album, in my opinion. So where'd you pick Killer for you?
Actually, I put Killer at number 3. I really like that song. That's one of my favorites. In
Okay.
fact, the whole second side is one of my favorites. I mean, it was very difficult to choose.
Okay.
The last 4.
Um, Rick put Killer at number 5 for him. So yeah, you and Rick, y'all can have Killer. um, that's one of the things I just love about a lot of people. They're like, if I pick something really high and they pick it low, or if I pick something low and they pick it high, I'm like, that just goes to show me that Kiss makes songs that we all enjoy in some way, shape, or form. We all enjoy them. Number 7. What's your prediction for number 7?
My prediction for the panel is Danger.
Yeah, me and you're cheating off each other's paper. My prediction at number 7 was Danger also.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. And so what the panel actually chose at number 7 with 394 points is Danger.
Wow.
Yeah, we got that one right. 8 panelists: Matt Ucci, Brian Balick, Steve, Andy, David King, AJ Zetro, Benoit Forget. Indie Cult 777 picked Danger as their number 1 song. I picked Danger as 8 for me, my next to last. I love Danger. I love the drums in Danger. I love playing drums to Danger, just because that bass drum beat that's in it. But I'm not a big fan of the chorus. I'm not a fan of that danger, danger, give me danger, danger. I'm not a big fan of that. It's got an amazing solo. It has a great solo. Who plays the solo on this? I've got that somewhere. Jimmy Housip. No, Jimmy Housip plays bass guitar. Is this a Vinnie solo?
I believe it is.
I believe it is a Vinnie solo.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Yes, it is. Jimmy Housip plays bass guitar. Yeah, Gene didn't play bass on a lot. Let's see. Steve Ferris played the guitar solo on Creatures of the Night. Robin Ford played lead guitar on Rock and Roll Hell and I Still Love You. Jimmy Housip played bass on Danger. Mike Porcaro played bass guitar on Creatures of the Night. Adam Mitchell played additional guitar and the end lick on Creatures of the Night. Bob Kulick played guitar overdubs. And Eric Carr played bass guitar on I Still Love You. And Gene played bass guitar on the songs I didn't mention. And he also played rhythm guitar on Killer and War Machine. So they had a lot of ghost musicians on this. And Vinny himself was an uncredited ghost musician. He wasn't credited as actually playing on the album until later on. Yeah, but Danger for me, I pick Danger number 8. Where'd you pick Danger for you?
I chose 6. I put it at 6.
Okay.
I love the guitar work, especially the solo. Very, very heavy. I don't like the vocal part though, just like you. I find that just very distracting. But I like this song and the guitars. Definitely.
Okay. Rick picked it as 8, so he was right there with me. He picked Danger as 8 for him. So we're up to number 6. What did you predict they were going to choose for number 6?
I thought they'd choose "I Still Love You"
Okay.
at 6. It's either you love it or you don't love it. So I kind of put somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. And looking at the votes, whenever I was counting up the votes, it's funny because I either saw it near the top or at the very bottom. It's one of those that people are very polarized on it.
Exactly.
I had some people say this album was perfect except for the "I Still Love You" ballad. And that, but I'll talk about what I think about "I Still Love You" whenever we get to it. I predicted that at number 6, I thought that the panel was going to choose "Saint and Sinner." And what the panel actually chose at number 6 with 399 points is "Saint and Sinner." 2 panelists, Tom Dust and Gulamine Chabason, picked it as their favorite song. I picked "Saint and Sinner" as my third favorite. I love "Saint and Sinner." I love the drums in it. I love the way the toms sound in this drum when it comes in that do 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 do. Vinnie Vincent plays the solo on this, and in my opinion, even though it is not a shredding solo, go back and listen to it. It is the most melodic, well-written, well-thought-out solos that I think Vinnie Vincent has ever came up with. I love the solo on this song. It's amazing. It's not a shredding song. It's not a shredding solo. But it is an amazing, well-thought-out, well-written solo. And I'm so glad that Vinnie was the one that wrote it and played it. I picked "Saint and Sinner" 3 for me. I love it. It's one. It could just as easily be number 1 to me. So, what about you?
I picked it at 9. I mean, I didn't want to pick anything at 9. But I never quite got it. I don't know why. Especially after hearing "Creatures of the Night," the first track, it just was kind of a letdown, just a little bit. And normally I love all Gene's songs. I just, for some reason, I can't really say why. But yes, this guitar solo is fantastic. That's about all I'll give it.
"Saint and Sinner," Rick picked it as his number 4 song. So Rick is right there with me. I wish I knew why. I don't have his reasons why. I just have his list that he sent me. But I wish I knew why. And so that brings us to the top 5. And so what's your prediction for the panel for number 5?
I predicted the panel would choose "Killer," which is one of my favorites, but maybe not.
I predicted that at number 5 that they were going to choose, the panel was going to choose "Rock and Roll Hell." And I picked that there because kind of like what you did with the previous song with, you said "I Still Love You." You picked it kind of in the middle. I know people who like "Rock and Roll Hell," and I know people who don't like it. I know people who like Ace's version better, which I'm in that camp. I like Ace's version better. So I picked it kind of in the middle. I thought this could go either way. So I felt like number 5 was a good safe spot for it. But what the panel chose for number 5 with 414 points, the panel chose Rock and Roll Hell. So I was right again. 4 panelists: Vincent Morone, author, John Howard, Rick R., and one other picked Rock and Roll Hell as their favorite songs. Favorite song. For me personally, I picked it as number 7. I love this song, but the reason why it's pushed down for me near the bottom is because I do like the Ace version a little better, but there's just 6 songs I like better. But I think this is a great song. I love it. Tells a story. It was co-written by Bryan Adams, and so I think that's one of the factors of its good storytelling, because Gene's songs don't typically tell stories. So I think Bryan Adams definitely was a influence in the storytelling of this song. But Rock and Roll Hell for me is number 7. What about you, Nina?
I chose Rock and Roll Hell at 8. It's like I like Ace's version better too, and that's the only reason why. Like I said, you got 9 songs here. It's very difficult to put them in any kind of order, But yeah, I got other songs that I rate higher, but it's I don't know.
It's like picking a favorite kid. It really is.
Exactly.
Let's see. Rick chose Rock and Roll Hell as his number 1 song. It's his favorite song on the album, Rock and Roll Hell.
Wow.
Yeah. So that brings us up to number 4. What's your panel prediction for number 4?
I thought the panel would choose Saint and Sinner. Like I said, it's not my favorite. I chose it at 9, but I know people that like it. So.
Yeah, I do too. But I predicted at number 4 that the panel was going to choose I Still Love You. I knew that I Still Love You is a favorite for a lot of people, but I also knew that a lot of people didn't care for it. So I was banking that a little more people cared for it. And so at number 4, the panel chose at 470 points. The panel chose I Still Love You. So I was right again. 7 panelists: Horror Gal Susan, John Gross, The Dude, Jeremy Kimona, Louis Madonna, Brian Stacy, and Wham SB picked I Still Love You as their favorite song. I picked I Still Love You as number 4. I think that I think I Still Love You and Vinnie Vincent. People always talk about the Vinnie Vincent Gene Simmons collaborations. Man, this Vinnie Vincent Paul Stanley collaboration is amazing. I love I Still Love You. I
And you know
don't
what?
I
Yeah,
don't
you know
like
what, Brent?
I don't like them performing it live. I cannot stand this song performed live, but I love the album version.
Yeah. And something interesting, when I told you about I did those 7 questions, that was one of my questions on collaborating on that song with Paul. And, it wasn't recorded, and I tried really hard to remember how he explained the writing process with Paul, which is a little different. But he's, what I remember, he said he came in with his guitar, tape player, and Paul had a guitar. Vinny had the melody, and Paul kind of sang along to it a little, and that's when it was born quickly. And that was one of my questions, because I've looked it up trying to find out who did what and how it was created, because it's one of my favorites, obviously. So
Yes. So where do you pick I Still Love You for you?
I picked it at 2.
Okay.
Best power ballad ever. The lyrics, he's talking about grief, he's talking about denial. It sounds like a thunderstorm with those drums. You got the organ in the back. I love the guitar solo. And that was another question. Why didn't she play the guitar solo? He didn't know. Vinny was there as a writer. He wasn't even in the band when these songs were recorded. So, I just really like that song.
Yeah, I would have liked to hear what a Vinnie Vincent song would have solo would have sounded like, because I know that he can a lot of Vinny's known for his shredding that would happen on the tours and on Lick It Up and thing like that. He was known for his excessive soloing to the point that he pissed Paul off a lot. But he was also known, if you, like I said, go back and listen to Saint and Sinner, he could write very slow melodic solos, and I think it would have been very interesting to hear a Vinnie Vincent solo here. I also love the fact that Eric pulls double duty on this. He plays the drums and plays the bass guitar. I think this is where Gene was kind of starting to check out and try to be a producer for other bands and be a movie star. And so this was going into that period where Paul really was going to have to carry the load of being the person that was going to keep Kiss going. And so Gene basically seems like he was pulling an ace. He was coming in, working on his songs, and then letting somebody else work on the bass or whatever for other songs. Rick, and this is the beautiful thing about these panels, Rick, for whatever reason, picked I Still Love You as his least favorite song on the album.
You either love it or you hate it.
Like I said, that goes to show you right there. You got two people who love it, and a third person who, he may not hate it, but it's not his favorite on the album. So that brings us to the top three. I always get excited at the top three. And if you've been playing along at home, you know that the big boys are left at the top three. So what did you predict the panel was going to choose for number three?
I predicted the panel would choose War Machine. Mm-hmm. And that was tricky because the last three they're all so good. But, yeah, actually, for me, the last four, but yeah, War Machine number three.
I was in the same camp that you was. I thought that the panel was going to choose War Machine for number three. I know it's a fan favorite, but I knew that it was going to have a hard time beating two other songs on this album. What the panelists actually chose at number three with 512 points, believe it or not, the panelists chose I Love It Loud as number three. 8 panelists, Frederick Scalen, Ray Kelly, Mark Hilliard, Bizbag68, Emily Graziano, Sandy Graziano, Ludwig Althine, Steve Rivas picked I Love It Loud as their favorite song. I picked I Love It Loud as number 2. When I was a kid, I Love It Loud was my favorite song, but there has been a song that has since passed it. But I Love It Loud was the first song I heard off this album. I've already said before we even started how much I love It Loud. And I think it is like a staple Kiss song. Where'd you pick I Love It Loud for you?
I'm a little scratching my head a little bit. I picked it at 5. But I guess I picked it at 5, which is a shame because it was my favorite for a long time. And I might just be, I might have just overheard it too many times, but I don't know. And maybe I've heard it live and don't like it too many times, like you said. But yeah, I mean, I like it, but I just like 4 others more.
Yeah. I think what pushed it down a little bit is fatigue for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Rick chose I Love It Loud as his 3rd favorite song. So it was number 3 for him. So that brings us to the top 2. What did you predict they were going to choose for number 2?
I predicted that they'd choose Creatures of the Night.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
Yeah. What did you pick?
Oh, I was going to let you talk about why if you wanted to.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's a strong song. It hits you. It's the first one, especially after what you've heard the last 2 albums of. And it's just a great rocker, a perfect opener.
Yeah. It's like the oath of Creatures of the Night. My prediction for number 2 was I predicted that they were going to choose "I Love It Loud"
Okay.
for number 2. Um, and like I said, I just think "I Love It Loud" is it would have been number 2. I didn't think it was going to be number 1.
Mm-mm.
What the panel chose and I always talk about the definition, like the separation of songs. So "I Love It Loud" scored at number 3, scored 512 points. The number 2 song scored 680 points. So it jumped way ahead. There's definitely separation between song number 1 and 2 and song number 3. So 1 and 2 are definitive favorites due to what they scored.
Mm-hmm.
But at 680 points, the panel chose for number 2, they chose "War Machine." 23 panelists: Keith Nedu, Scotty Sky, Tony P., Anthony M. Hill, Skate Devil, Sam Loomis, Aladio, Bill Sharp, Nick from Pot of Thunder, Snake Hips, Demetrios K., The Toy Bonnie Guy, Jay Reiner, X Josh, Super Kiss 1200, Doc Light, Tom S., Two Gay Dads, Orville Dunworth, John O., Aiden Pro Dalton, and Joel Pegg, and one other person picked this as their number 1 song. Maybe possibly 2 other people picked this as their number 1 song, because I am one of the people that picked "War Machine" as my number 1 song because I freaking love War Machine. War Machine is, to me, it's like a top 10 Kiss song for me. I think it's one of Gene Simmons' best songs. I think it's very odd that Bryan Adams helped co-write this song. I can't hear that at all. But I love the flanger effect that they have on his voice. It's almost like getting taken back in time to Phantoms. And I love whenever they do that effect on Gene's voice. But the riff on this song is just insane. The drums on this song, the sound of the drums is insane. And the lyrical content and the way it's delivered and the solo, it's just, this is like a perfect Kiss song to me. It is one of their, to me, anything in the top 10, in my top 10, has to be perfect. And this is one of those, to me, perfect Kiss songs. So I score this my hands down favorite song on this album. So
Okay.
what about you?
Yeah, I picked it at number 4. Like I said, it was the I almost wanted to pick Killer at number 4, but I didn't. But it was tough. The last 4 were extremely hard to put from 1 to 4
Oh
because
yeah,
I like them all the same,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah. And I had some people say, I actually saw somebody on Twitter, I think it might have been Tom Dust, said my prediction is everybody on that puts their list wishes they could change it right after they post it. Because
Exactly.
and I was like, when I read that, I just kind of chuckled because I'm like, that is the truth, brother. That is the truth. Rick picked "War Machine" at number 2. So "War Machine's apparently a very much of a favorite for Rick as well.
Okay.
So if you've been playing along at home, we're going to go ahead and do our predictions. But if you've been playing along at home, you know what's number 1. But what did you predict the panel was going to choose for number 1?
I predicted the panel would choose "I Love It Loud,"
Yeah.
and just because it's a crowd favorite, and it was my favorite initially, and it's a great song, and also that it had a video.
That video. That video will be forever burned in my mind.
I know. Yep.
Let's see. So my prediction was I thought that the panel was going to choose "Creatures of the Night" as their number 1 song, just because I knew "I Love It Loud" was a fan favorite. And that's why I picked it as number 2, because I thought it didn't have the gumption to beat "Creatures of the Night," because it, like I said, it is the oath of the "Creatures of the Night" album. And so at 698 points, the panel chose as number 1 "Creatures of the Night." And 38 panelists helped do that. 38 out of 100. Think about that. Joe Nail, Matthew Wasson, Dylan Tucker, Kiss Posters, Where's Drago, Kimchi Chris, Tony Rod, Jen Shimizu, Dave Cranston, Paul Tepley. It's basically the Twitter crew. John Schaefer, Eric Mosiu, Jack Skellington, Derry Hollowell, Deuce, Jeff Wyatt, Metal Dad, Julian Davies, Jorge Colombo, Luis Morales, Sonic Riccardi, Mark Stewart, Matthew Smith, John B. Good, Mick C., Jesse Ray, Guitar Man, Travis Mulgard, Greek Freak, Jay Lee, Sublime 130, Michael D., Gregory Pegg, Paul Bortolino, Robbie Stars, Pins Fan 77, and Jay Reed. And most of those are Twitter people. I just think that's funny. But I picked Creatures of the Night at number 5. Creatures of the Night is one of those songs, honestly, I liked it. And 5, like I said, could be number 2 or 3 for me. Creatures of the Night is not my number 1 song on this album, and it never has been. I love it, and I love for what it is, and I love that everybody loves it as much as they do. But Creatures of the Night for me is, to me, and don't throw stones at your phone screen or whatever, it's slightly overrated. To me, slightly overrated. But I still like it. I still love it. It's in my top 5. But that's just where it falls for me. So what about for you?
Well, I gave Creatures the edge and chose them as number 1.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a strong song. It hits you first. Perfect opener.
Mm-hmm.
I also like it because I heard Paul sing it at the Vegas when they did the Vegas residency, and it didn't sound that bad. I don't know if it was Paul, but sorry, I shouldn't say that. But you can sing. He could actually sing it at a lower register. So it confuses me why they don't add that to the end of the road. But that's just my opinion.
So, Creatures of the Night, huh?
Yep.
What an album. Yep. So what's your closing thoughts on Creatures, and any closing thoughts on Vinnie?
Well, let's see. Okay. With Vinnie, expect something, and if you want to go. He really, the idea of him playing at a hotel or some kind of venue, I don't believe, in my opinion, would happen, because he wants to be in a studio, like where he has access to what he needs, and it's a very nice place. I don't know whether there may be a birthday party coming in August. I know, but I'm not sure of anything. But I do believe there's going to be some more appearances, and go. It's not going to be around forever. Our music, sadly, is our heroes are, fading, and we need to see them. We really do, before it's over.
I agree. If you have the means to go see Vinnie, if he's going to play out somewhere, or if he's going to be somewhere, no, regardless of where it is, if you have the ability and the means to get tickets, go. If you want to go see Kiss on the End of the Road tour, by all means, go. That is your money. I'm not going to tell you how to spend it. I don't want you telling me how to spend my money. So if you want to go see Kiss, by all means, go.
Let me say one more thing about Vinnie and his events. Is the people, his loyal fans, are some of the nicest people I've ever met, and that's the truth. From his assistant to just everyone, it's just a solid, good bunch of people, and that I'm happy to call my friends, for real.
Awesome. Well, I hope you get it to Vinnie's assistant, and you get it to Vinnie, and Vinnie gets to watch this video, because I feel like we've portrayed Vinnie during this video in a very positive light. Yeah. And I hope that he gets to see this video. And I know that his overall Kiss experience was not a good one. And I know that's more of a hindsight thing, and it was maybe during the Lick It Up time and the Lick It Up tour. But I would like to think that his experience of being involved in the writing and some of the recording of Creatures of the Night, and then replacing Ace on the Creatures of the Night tour and being on that tour, I would think that maybe those were some good times, and hopefully before things started turning bad, he can look back on this time and be like, that was a good time. Those were good times. So, and hopefully he'll be able to look at this review and and look at what people think of these songs that he had a hand in writing and in performing on. And it's something that he can still be proud of, and see that there are still fans out there who like Vinnie and his playing. I also still plan on reviewing solo albums by Kiss members. I'm going to be doing Ace's albums, solo albums. I'm going to be doing Peter's solo albums, and I'm going to be doing the Vinnie Vincent Invasion solo albums as well. So
Cool.
so going through Vinnie's catalog with the Invasion also as well. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, guys, that's all we got for today. Appreciate Nina. Appreciate her being here today, taking time out of her Sunday afternoon to be here. And that's all I've got for this video. By the time you see this, the post will be up to get in your Lick It Up list. So be sure to get in on that panel for Lick It Up. That's going to be a very interesting and very fun album. So anyway, that's all I've got. Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me on. I love talking Kiss. I don't get to do it often, and I really appreciate it. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
No problem. Thank you so much, Nina. Everybody be sure to give Nina props down in the comments. And that's all I've got for this one. So we'll catch you on the next one, guys. Appreciate you watching.